Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me. We're in Wrexham and Georgia is about to take a driving test. This is an actual driving test that's taking place. It's not the usual mock ones that you tend to find. This is recorded from the dash cam that's inside the car. We're only allowed to record outside. We can't actually record inside or any of the audio inside of the car. So what you'll see is just what's happening actually on the driving test. So it's a lovely Saturday morning and she's away. Now on a driving test, the driving test lasts between about 38 to 40 minutes. It does depend very much on traffic conditions. People are always asking me, well, what happens on a driving test? Well, on videos like this you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see exactly what does happen on a driving test. As I say, you can have a look at it, and people are always worried what's going to happen, what will the examiner do, where will they go, and questions like that, and it can be worrying all night long. I mean, I know certainly Georgia, the lady that's now taking the driving test now, was worried about the test and what are the examiners like. All sorts of questions like that all start to crop up. So let's start at the very beginning. So we arrive at the driving test centre and we're there just a couple of minutes before the start of the driving test. Now they do, they do have odd times for driving tests like 11:11 or 8:01 or 12:38. So you just arrive just a few minutes just before your driving test starts. You'll need with you your driving licence. Don't forget your driving licence. No driving licence, there's no test. It's that simple. So they won't take you for your driving test. That's the problem there. So make sure you got your driving licence with you. The examiner will come out, call your name. He'll then just ask if you've got your driving licence with you. He'll take the driving licence off you. Then they'll do the security checks. What they'll do is they'll ask you to sign the declaration as the car insured and as your health not changed in any way. As soon as you've done that, what will happen is then the examiner will ask you if anyone's going to join you on your driving test, and then outside you go. Now the first thing is of course the eyesight check. They will ask you to read a number plate. So as soon as you've done that, and then it's going towards the car. The next thing then is that you're going to be asked one of the show me tell me questions. So in the beginning of the test it'll be the tell me. So it could be, for example, like, could you tell me how your head restraint is properly adjusted? Or could you tell me where you would find the information for the tyre pressures? So what you need to do before you start your driving test, before you the week before, at least a month maybe, you can't be too over prepared for this, is go through all of the questions. Go through all of them so that then you are properly prepared. There's nothing worse than going up at the driving test and then struggling just to answer a basic question where you would find the information for the tyre pressures, which is quite simple. It's in the manufacturer's handbook. But go through them, and then as you're driving along you will get then a show me question. So the show me question could be, could you show me please how you would switch on the rear demister? So you get something like that. Or could you show me how you would switch your dipped headlights on? Or could you show me how you would wash the front windscreen? You'd have something like that. So make sure you're fully versed with that. Okay, so as soon as then you've done that question, the examiner will ask you to get into the car and put your seatbelt on, but don't start the engine. Now the examiner gets in the car and they'll ask you if you want further information on what's going to happen on the driving test. They'll explain that the driving test lasts between 38 to 40 minutes. They'll ask you to drive independently for about 20 minutes. They will ask you to do one manoeuvre, and they may ask you to do an emergency stop. Although the emergency stops are only done just every now and then, they're not done all the time. So you're not going to get an emergency stop every single time they go out on a driving test. So if there's any questions, you just simply ask the examiner. That's all you would do. If you're unsure of anything, just ask the examiner. They're not there to instruct you. If there's something unclear about where it is that they want you to go, you can just by all means ask them. But say, for example, you couldn't say, oh, what's the speed? Well, you can, but they're not going to tell you. They'll just say, I'll leave it with you. So if you, for example, were unsure of the speed limit, they won't tell you. They'll just say, do what you think. And that's all it'll be, will be that. So you've got to be well versed on, paying attention as far as driving is concerned. So what happens on a driving test? Well, it's quite simple. You're simply driving a car. That's all you're doing. The things that happen on the road can happen on your driving test, and they can happen after you've passed your driving test. Just because you passed the driving test doesn't mean that all of a sudden magically that you can drive. You're still exactly the same as what it was just before you took your test. A driving test passed only means that you can continue learning on your own. That's all it simply means. So with driving, I'm afraid it's something whereby you're continually learning. It's like with us instructors, we're just continually learning all the time. Same thing with an examiner. We can't turn around and say we know everything, because we don't. It's that simple. It's just trying to improve your skills. That's all it's doing. So as you can see, we're off and away now. So let's have a look. Yep, she's overtaking. So the first thing in situations like that is always mirrors first, then you signal if required. It's always mirrors, signal, manoeuvre. Always remember that. Always remember that. These are some of the basic things that people need to pay attention to. You'll go on all sorts of different types of road. Now, the thing is with Wrexham is that they do have a 20-mile-an-hour speed limits here, there and everywhere. But you're not going to be in a 20 speed limit all the time. So, for example, now, there's the national speed limit. So now, mirrors, adjust your speed and pick the speed up a little bit. But you're coming to an end of a road in a minute anyway, so you're not going to go much faster. So let's have a look where we're going here. I think we're turning left here, I think. So it's mirrors first, you signal, bring the speed right down, selecting the correct gear, and then away you go. Now, there, the road markings, it's a give way. A give way means give way to the traffic that's already on that road there. What you're doing is you're slowing the car down to have a look to see if you can go. You're not stopping to have a look. You're having a look to see if you can go. That's what you're looking for. So you're slowing the car right the way down. If you're clear, then away you go. Don't forget, most important, don't forget to look left before you turn left. So again, the speed limit's just altered. I don't know if you just noticed it's a 50 speed limit. Again, nicely controlled up to the end of the road there and away. Mirrors again as you're pulling away from here. Looking far enough down the road as far as you can see. As you can see, the sun is right in front of you, so it does tend to have a real hazardous effect. We're turning right here. We're going to go down the dual carriageway here. One thing you do have to be careful of with these lights, when they change to your favour, you'll have a green light, but the thing is you've got a filter arrow on it as well. You'll see it in a moment anyway. So the lights have just changed, and there's your green light. Now the oncoming traffic is also going as well. They're also going, they are as well, you see. So what you've got to do is give way to the traffic that's coming towards you. You see, this is where you're going to be turning right in a moment. It's just here. See how the arrow's this there? So going down the dual carriageway, just there. So you'll see the green light come up any moment now. There's the green light. Okay, you've got to give way to all the oncoming vehicles. See the arrow just come on? That stopped that car there now. That's the idea of it. Now you're going down the slip road and you see the national speed limit signs there. The speed limit on a dual carriageway is 70. So I've got the speed up there quite nicely. So accelerating away, don't be afraid of using the performance of the engine. Keep your eye on the mirrors. Don't forget that traffic is going to be moving on that dual carriageway quite quickly. So it's safer if you accelerate away. So you're keeping your eye on the right hand door mirror, indicating right, that will then alert the drivers on the dual carriageway that you're wanting to join. So they should move over to the right hand side if it's clear to do so. But you just drop it into a safe gap. And as you can see, George is driving along here quite quickly. You know, we're not speeding, we're simply just driving normally. That's all the driving test is. Can you drive normally? That's all it is. It's not about going particularly slow. As you can see, Wrexham, it's got 20 mile an hour speed limits, but you're not just in a 20 mile an hour speed limit everywhere you go. You've got roads like we've just been on there, the dual carriageway. So George has dealt with that nicely, and you can see that they've got the progress up there, and that's done really well. So we're turning right at the roundabout here. Again, mirrors, signal, manoeuvre, bringing the speed down, nice progressive braking, selecting the correct gear, looking over to the right in plenty of time. If you're clear, then away you go. Like George has just done there. It's just slowed right down, selected the correct gear, and away you go. So going round the roundabout, the mirror that you need to be concerned about now is the left-hand door mirror. There might be something coming up the side of you. There could be, and that's the thing to do, is to make sure you're checking that left-hand door mirror. Now, if there is something coming up the left-hand side of you, just go round the roundabout again. Don't try and teach someone a lesson by cutting in front of them. It's not worth the hassle. Just go round the roundabout again, but pay attention to that left-hand door mirror. As all as I know is, at some point in your driving career, someone will be coming up the left-hand side. It's the same thing when you're turning right. As all as I know is, someone somewhere will be overtaking you when you are turning right. Don't think that they won't, because they will. If you look on some of my videos, there's one where it was in Oswestry, where we were turning right into a factory and a van overtook us. We were stopped, we were positioned to turn right, we were indicating right, about to turn right, and the van overtook us. And there you are. You couldn't make this stuff up, but I'm afraid it does happen, and that's why you've got to be always paying attention to the mirrors, signal, manoeuvre. That's why it's there. So we're in a 40 mile an hour speed limit. I don't know if you noticed, but we just went into that 40 limit. So again, looking far enough ahead. The buses as well, they do make frequent stops. So it's paying attention to the passengers that might be getting off the bus. And what they might do, they might step out in front of the bus. So that's one thing you do have to be careful of. So there's the bus pulling up. It's just stopped, so that's okay. So the speed limit's altered again. Now we're down to 20 again now. But it's always mirrors first. So you've got to check your mirrors before you slow down and before you speed up. So it's whether you're altering when you adjust speed, whether it's either up or down. So it's mirrors before, not after, but before. That's one thing that you need to be aware of, is the mirror checks before your speed adjusts. This is where I think it's somewhere along this road here. There was a minor fault recorded because the speed did go above the 20. I think that what tends to happen is that you can't actually see it, but when you're driving along now, there's people at the back of you, and they're always trying to push you, and that's the part that sometimes can force you to go a bit quicker. That's the only trouble with it. Georgia did recognise this, so immediately, just reduce the speed back down to 20 again, which is the correct thing to do. But don't be intimidated by other people. They shouldn't get that close anyway to an L plate, but unfortunately they do, right up to the bumper. So it's not just you. It happens all of the time. I'm afraid it happens all of the time. We're just a little bit short here. There's the white line in front. We've stopped. We're okay, but we are just slightly short on it. That's all. But again, that's not a problem. That's it. Mirrors, door mirrors, both sides, because you never know, you could get a cyclist up the side of you. Will the examiner talk to me? That's one of the other questions that I get asked. The answer is yes, they will. What they'll do is, as you're driving down a road, say like we are now, where there's nothing much there to do, what they'll say is something like, so what would you be doing normally if you weren't here today? So they'll just say something like that. So you can say, well, I'll just be normally at work, or I'll be normally at college, or whatever it is that you do. What they're trying to do is just try to reassure you that they are human, and that just encourage you just to relax a little bit more. That's all it is. Driving examiners, they're not there to do you in any way. What they're there for is to make sure that the roads are safe. They're making sure that you are safe, and they're keeping everyone safe. That's all they're doing. That's all the job is. Are you safe? And as long as you can demonstrate that you're a safe and considerate driver, you'll pass your driving test. So we're stopping on the left again. So the first thing is, always remember, mirrors first. Now get rid of that signal. If you've indicated, get rid of the indicator. Don't leave it running, whatever you do. Make sure it's cancelled. Then the examiner will just ask you to move off again whenever you're ready. So don't forget the all-important looking over your right shoulder before you move away. The other question I get asked, do I have to indicate to move off? The answer is no, not all of the time. There are occasions where you do need to indicate, but you don't need to just indicate all of the time to move off. Where the problem with that is that it could mislead people into thinking that you're turning right, and you're not. What you're doing is making sure that you're clear, then move off. That's all you're doing. You're not doing anything else. The only time that you would indicate to move off is if you wanted someone to let you out, or say for example you're on a particularly busy stretch of road and the traffic at the back of you couldn't pass you simply because of the oncoming traffic. Well, what you can do is indicate, check, and then move off, because then you'll just be clearing it. But you have to understand the whole purpose of what it is that you're doing. You can't just indicate just for the sake of it. There would have to be a valid reason. So let's have a look what we're going to do here. Okay, pulling up again. Now this will probably be the reverse park. Yeah, this is probably going to be the reverse park manoeuvre, this is. So what will happen is the examiner will say to you, this is the car I'd like you to reverse park behind. So if you would like to stop alongside it, then reverse back until you're parked at the back of it, keeping parallel to the curb. And then move off whenever you're ready. Now, there's driveways there, and the examiner will say to you, don't worry about the driveway. You can ignore the driveway because you're not parking there. You're not pulling up there. So there's no trick. There's no trick involved. So you move off when you're safe. Keep an eye on the mirrors. Stop the car. Now the important thing is now straight to reverse gear. Now as soon as you go straight to reverse gear, your reversing lights come on. So that tells people exactly what it is that you're doing. Now you can see George has got really good control here over the clutch. So of course we're controlling it and we're making the car go backwards nice and slowly. Now the other thing to remember is checking around you, making sure you're paying attention, checking through the back window and both the side windows as well. So it's a 360 is what you're doing. So you're looking all the way around you, paying attention to everything that's going on. You could stop there quite safely, there would be nothing wrong with that, but George is just moving off the driveways. But you don't have to, as the examiner would have said, don't worry about the driveways. In other words, don't worry about stopping on it because you're not parking there anyway. So we've completed the manoeuvre. The examiner now will just say move off when safe to do so. So let's have a look. We're going to move off. Let's have a look. Oh, the bus is just getting some passengers on. That's it, then we move off whenever we're ready. Okay, that's fine. The thing is there, it's been able to work out what's happening on the road and adapt to it. That's all it is. There would have been no point going any further forwards there because it would probably jam the road up. So just by holding back a little bit allowed the other car just to come through. So she did there correctly. George has done that fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's now about, I'm afraid, looking at the situation that's in front of you and then anticipating what could happen or what might be there. So mirrors again before you overtake. So you're keeping your eyes peeled. It gets a bit narrow just here, as you can see how it's just getting tight there. See it nicely to the end there, nicely to the end. Having a look both ways. Good control, keeping the car tucked into the left. Nice control, plenty of steering. Good control over the clutch there, and then away you go. Notice here, we're turning right there. What George has done there is just slipped into first gear, held it on the clutch for a moment, balanced it, and then just moved off again. You know, that's good control, that is. Looking right the way down at the bottom of the road. You can never tell what's going to come up at you. this is where the examiner now could ask you when safe to do so. Could you wind down the window, or could you show me how you switch your dipped headlights on? So you'll get one of those as you're driving along anyway. Again, that's it, good control there, slowing the car right the way down, making sure that you're clear, and then away you go. You can see this is, what you're seeing is an actual driving test. Georgia is actually doing it, so you can actually see it with your own eyes exactly what's happening, where that you might go, but the situations could be different. Whereby when we've been passing stationary cars, there's nothing been coming, or when we've been going around that corner, there's been nothing parked on it. But when you go out, there could be something parked there right on the corner, and you would have to deal with it. It would make no difference whether you're on your own or whether you pass the driving test. It makes no difference. You would still have to deal with it anyway. And it's all about dealing with things that you come up with. Again, pulling up again. You'll get this pull up and stop on the left hand side quite a few times during your driving test. You'll get that quite a few times. So again, always making sure that you have cancelled that left hand indicator before you move off, and make sure that you are checking over that right shoulder before you move away. It's an absolute must. So the speed limit alters, so you're back into a 50 speed limit now. So mirrors before. And the speed limit's going to alter again. Let's have a look. Oh, you're back down to 20 again. So of course, bringing your speed down, always mirrors before you do it, keeping your speed down. As you can see, with Georgia's driving test here, it's not 20 everywhere you go. It's not. We've had quite a lot of varied roads that we've been on. We've been towards the bigger, more built up areas, the more, on the estates, and those type of roads are a bit tighter. You've been on a fast dual carriageway, and now you're on these type of roads as well. So you've got a mixed bag really of everything on a driving test, and it's just being able to deal with it. And you can see it's not what I call really busy. It's not, you're not following loads and loads of traffic. There's not traffic everywhere. There isn't. It's not really packed out by any stretch of the imagination. I think that people believe that it's going to be horrendous wherever you go, but in actual fact it isn't. Far from it. Nicely positioned on the road as well there, so we're not driving right in the ditch and we're not right straddling the white line. We're positioned there quite nicely. There's nothing wrong with that. This one's on a bit of a hill, so again, into first gear, controlling the clutch. You can just see actually just inching the car very slowly. Yeah, having a look both ways, clear, and then go. And that's really good control over the clutch. There's nothing wrong with going up there and stopping and slamming the handbrake on. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I think that if you can demonstrate that you're under control with the car, then it shows that you're doing more than what's required to pass the driving test. And I think that's one of the big secrets. Try and do more, not just see what it is that you can get away with. Try and demonstrate skills and abilities. The examiners as well want you to do well. Yeah, they're on your side. I'm on your side as well. I want you to pass. There's no benefit in anyone where you've got an unsuccessful result. There's nothing in it. What we need is people to be able to demonstrate they have the skills, and of course enjoy the freedom of having a full driving license. As this, you see, it really does open up doors. It really does, for your social life and of course your work life as well, which is really important. So it's well worth investing some time and effort in something that is important as this. Look out for potholes as well. On roads like these as well, you can see sometimes there, you can see where they've been filled in, but you've got to be careful where you're not just going straight into them. Can you avoid them? The answer is yes, but what you've got to do is always check first. So if there's a great big pothole there, then what you would have to do is mirrors first and then go round it. Or you may need to say, move over to the left a little bit. I don't know, it's just a matter of just working out the best way of dealing with that situation at that one moment in time. So we're back to the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit again. Now we're back out of it and we're back into a 30. You see how it's all altered? See, so it's all about, are you paying attention to the traffic signs, paying attention and acting upon them? So the test it's more than halfway through now anyway. So these are the only last moments of the driving test. And you can see, we're going back into 20 limit now, but you can actually see for yourself exactly what does happen, where you may go and what you may be asked to do. And it's all you're asked to do really is drive the car. Again, speed limit's 30. See, so it's paying attention to all of those things. It's paying attention to that. Speed limit alters again. The thing is, as well, on a driving test, you could never tell what's going to be around the next corner. I mean, you're driving along here, there could be a lorry, just pulled up on the side doing some deliveries, or there could be a tractor there, or there could be horses. It's just, you can never tell. But where the secret is to be able to deal with it. That's one of the big secrets, is to deal with it. You can't actually predict what's going to happen, but the only thing you can do is anticipate what's going to happen, and then being able to have the skills to be able to deal with situations as and when they occur, rather than just being lucky and hope that you just get a good run through. So again, end of the road, bit of a hill. That's it, just making sure that you're clear. That's all you've got to do. If you're waiting for any length of time at all, your handbrake should be applied. What I normally, the way I tend to teach anyway, is try to just hold on the clutch onto the bike point just for a moment, so that then, if it's clear, then you could simply just pull away again. But if, say, for example, that you're having to wait, then apply the handbrake is the safest and the best thing to do as well. Okay, so we've got a safe gap there and she's away. So we're going to be turning left here now at the traffic lights. Some traffic lights coming up here now in a moment. And then we're going to be turning left. We are in a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. See how we slow down progressively, and the lights change, so it means that because we've planned everything out, it means that we can simply just move off again, just as if nothing's happened. And that's one of the things, is get the car under control, making sure that you're in the correct gear, slowing the car down progressively. And there you have it. Well, the test centre is only just up the road now anyway. I think there's only traffic lights to deal with, then turn left, and that's it. Then it's all over. That is it. Even at this point in time, even for example like now, because the test is over in a minute or two, but if something was to happen now, like say for example if we run a red light, just for argument's sake, that would of course result in being unsuccessful. So even at the very end like this, you can't take your eye off the ball at all. You must be paying attention right to the very end, and at all times when you're out driving anyway, not just necessarily a driving test. Again, as you can see, a little bit too far away from the white line in front. Need to be ideally a little bit further forwards, ideally. And that's it. So there you have it. That's one driving test, and Georgia has passed the driving test. That was the first time in Wrexham. She was well up to it. You got all the skills there, as you can see. All the skills there are required. Nice braking, smooth control over the clutch. And that's been it. Good mirror checks, anticipating, good control over the car when we were doing the reverse park. We didn't do an emergency stop, but she would have done that all right anyway. So there we are, we're turning left now into the car park. So turning in into first gear, nice and slow, and then pull up straight in front. That's it. Anyway, well, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has helped you in some way. All the best.